the tape for this, our main event of the evening. We introduce the champion, Chris, the West Side Strangler Brennan. Let's get it on!
What's up, guys? We're here to go over UFC 281. Where is this taking place?
Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden. That's a good one.
That's legit, man.
Place.
It's so cool.
We saw, me and the boys a couple of New Year's Eve ago, watched PFL was there on New Year's Eve. It was pretty awesome.
You went out there and watched the ball drop and hang out in New York City?
We did. We actually tried to hang out in the in Times Square.
Yeah.
About gotten 30 fights. Like it was so bad, and everyone was like, no one was nice.
Yeah.
So we actually went back to the New York Athletic Club, where Kendall Cross and a guy, Rick Delegata, these wrestlers, they run. It's an amazing building. They have it's a beautiful hotel, and it has a wrestling room on the bottom floor with judo and fencing, and then there's a pool area, and there's a boxing floor, and it's all Olympic stuff, like all the highest level of Olympians in that building. And we got to go on the roof and watch it all from the roof.
Nice.
But here's a crazy story. We walk into the top floor, and I see a guy laying down on the ground on a platform with a 50 caliber gun laying in front of him, and about 11 cops around. And we're looking around like, are we allowed to be up here? I'm like, yeah, you're good. And I was like, and it's right next door to Trump's building.
Yeah.
And I said, what's going on? And I said, it's New Year's Eve. He said, if you could look across the skyline, every one of the buildings will have this going on at the top floor right now. And I was like, wow. And there was a 50 cal off both sides.
Holy crap.
On a wood-built platform.
Holy crap.
On the top floor of this hotel. And I was just like, whoa. So we watched from there, but man, it was sketchy. I was like, that's crazy to know. Like, they're fully prepared.
That's where you want to be on New Year's Eve.
Yeah,
right
safest
that,
place
dude.
right there. I'm going to lay by you, bro.
That is awesome.
Anyways,
all right.
Go over the fight.
UFC 281. So the first fight we want to talk about, Dan Hooker and Claudio Puelles.
Yeah.
I said that wrong.
So Claudio, he's coming off a 5-fight win streak, it looks like, and I believe Dan Hooker has coming off a loss to Arnold Allen. Arnold Allen's a stud, but Hooker has seemed to hit a bit of a skid. And the Claudio Puelles is a jiu-jitsu world champion from Peru.
Yes.
And going off of looking at what the momentum he's got coming up and the way that Hooker's been, and I'm a fan of Hooker. I love to watch him fight. I just think he's kind of at that spot where
you look at 3 out of his past 5 he's got 4. He's 1-4 in his last 5 fights, but he's lost to Poirier, Chandler, and Makhachev.
Yeah. So he's 1-4 in his last 5, and this guy's 5-0 in his last 5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even let's say hypothetically Hooker was better than him a little bit.
Okay.
That momentum alone and confidence alone, and for both of them is so different at the moment that I just feel like it's tough to dig your way out of that hole that he's in. Hopefully he can. But if I'm putting money down, I'm going to put money down on Puelles. Yeah.
His last fight, he knee barred Clay Guido in the first round.
Yeah.
Just 3 minutes in. So guy's got some skill. I mean, Guido's he's a warrior.
He is, and he's tough to submit.
Yeah.
He's tough to submit. So that's a good win. That's a good finish.
All right, so then that brings us to the next fight then. I think we've talked about this before. This is going to be interesting. Frankie Edgar and Chris Gutierrez. This is a retirement fight for both of them, is that right?
No, just for Frankie.
Okay.
Chris is on the upswing. He's the one that's got 2 or 3 leg kick finishes in the UFC. I mean, he's a buddy of mine. He's taught a seminar here before. Frankie Edgar, as you know, is one of my all-time favorite fighters. He comes from the Renzo Gracie side of GSP, Matt Serra, like all those guys on that side come from that area of Renzo's gym. And I've always been a fan of Frankie. Family guy, carries himself really well, and like the biggest heart in the UFC. And
he's 41.
Yeah, he is. And he's he's a great fighter still, but he's on his way out. He's retiring. He'll definitely be in the Hall of Fame. He was a couple-time 155 champion, and he is typically was a small guy at 155, and he was beating guys like Gray Maynard. He was the champ when he was so much smaller than the other guys, and would just bang it out. I'm friends with him as well. In my opinion, this fight is a clear path to victory for both guys.
Okay.
Gutierrez obviously needs to chop at his legs and keep it standing. Frankie Edgar, I believe, has better boxing, straight boxing, but his key to victory is wrestling. If he wrestles him, takes him down, controls him, tries to submit him, that's his clear path to winning this fight. And Gutierrez has to stop it. As you know, when one guy's trying to strike and one guy's trying to wrestle, typically the wrestler's going to get that exchange and get the takedown. I hope that Frankie takes that path and fights that way so that he can end his career safely. He had a bad knockout his last fight. I believe it was his last fight
Against Marlon Vera?
Yeah.
Cheetah?
Yes.
KO front kick?
Yes. And it was reminiscent of the Tony Ferguson Michael Chandler kick.
Oh, is that bad?
Not so it may have been just as bad. The camera didn't catch his skull coming out of his head like they did on Tony Ferguson, but it was bad, man. And I hate to see it as they get older, man. I just want guys especially guys that have put in so much work, so many miles. Like Frankie Edgar has put in miles, and that's stuff that's gonna hang out with him for a while or the rest of his life. So I hope he gets out of it pretty unscathed. And Chris is, like I said, he's one of the top guys that's not top ranked yet in the division, 135 division, right?
Yeah, bantamweight.
Yeah.
So he's not ranked going into this fight. Right
now. And he, he will be soon. He will be soon. So it's tough for me to say I want this guy to win or I want that guy to win. If I'm putting money on it, I'm going to put money on Frankie if Frankie comes out to wrestle him. If he comes out to box with him, Chris chews his legs up, and it's not hard.
Interesting.
He makes it look easy with the legs.
Frankie Edgar's 24-10-1, but he's 1-4 in his last 5 fights.
Yeah.
He's lost to the Zombie. He's lost to Max Holloway, Sandhagen, and Cheeto. So
Sandhagen was the knockout I was talking about. I forgot he fought Vera after that. Sandhagen was a jump knee.
Flying knee.
That was just
connected.
So bad. It was so bad, Sandhagen felt bad.
Really?
Yeah. He said, man, that's Frankie Edgar. I don't want to do that to Frankie Edgar.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, man.
When you're going into this, and I don't know, when you fought your last fight, did you know going into the cage it was your last fight?
Yes. Nobody else did.
Nobody else did, but you did.
Yeah.
So talk about what Frankie's thinking right now, knowing that when he walks in the cage, it's his last fight.
Yeah, so it was different for me. My last 2 fights, I fought so that Luke and Tyler could see me fight in person.
Okay.
And they were there. The caliber of my opponents was not high level. They had a lot of fights, but they had crappy records. They were guys, we tried to get 2 good guys from Texas, and everyone was saying no, and I ended up fighting 2 guys from Oklahoma who had a lot of fights, but they just had crappy records. And I beat them pretty easy. I knew they both missed weight, so the fight was supposed to be 170. A week out, they asked if they could fight at 75 because they were going to miss weight. They both said this, and this is 2 months apart. I said sure, and they both showed up 7 pounds over the 5 pounds I gave them.
Jeez.
So they were 12 pounds over, and I made weight. So they were both bigger guys, tall, like 6'2", 6'3", and I beat them easy. I knew I would. So it was a different feeling going into that fight. I walked out smiling, knowing it was my last fight, taking it all in, enjoying it.
Yeah.
I hope Frankie's able to do that,
Yeah.
For his last fight, especially since so much he's given to the sport. But he's also going to have a lot more of the nerve, anxiety,
Butterflies.
fight night stuff than I had on my last night.
You weren't leaning over the garbage can for those 2 fights?
No, not at all. I was high-fiving my friends and my family as I was walking to the cage.
That's awesome. So you're going Frankie Edgar on this, but you've got the caveat that if he tries to box, it's not going to go his way.
Right. If he goes out there and strikes with him and takes anywhere from 3 to 4 leg kicks,
Yeah.
the game has changed. Chris will change the game. I could say in 1, but at 3 or 4, and people are changing stances with him. So yeah, the caveat is if Frankie goes out and wrestles, I'm going with him. If he does not, then I would put my money on Chris. I wouldn't bet either way just because you never know what someone's game plan is.
Yep.
But I like I said, I think they both have a clear path to victory.
Third fight on this, I think this is one of my
I hate
like
this
fight of the year. I mean, like for me, just excited about this fight.
But if you're already in fight of the year, do you want to be in fight of the year again the same year?
yeah,
Is it the
that's
same year
Which-
since Chandler and Gaethje fought? It's got to be within the same 12 months.
yeah, probably yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and so,
So
is that who's next, right?
what's that?
Yeah, Chandler's next.
Chandler
Yeah.
and Poirier. Yeah.
Yeah, so, like I said the other day, Chandler has said that he's the most exciting fighter in the UFC, but he's got to start fighting smart for the win. He's got to start winning. And it doesn't matter if you're excited if you're not winning. So he needs to come out, throw with power, get takedowns, not get guillotined by Poirier. Poirier's got a good guillotine. If they just go out there and fight for the crowd, I got to give it to Poirier only because Chandler's going to gas. And although Chandler continues to fight at a fast pace, even when he's tired, he runs into more danger second and third round. Fortunately for him, it's only a 3-round fight. But as much of a fan as I am of Chandler, I feel like Poirier's fight IQ will come through for him.
When you compare them physically, do you give the edge just sheer physicality? Do you give that to Chandler?
Yeah, for sure. Poirier's super fit.
Yeah.
He's taller. Chandler's shorter, thicker, stockier. But I just feel like if it gets emotional
Yeah.
for Chandler, it doesn't go. He's either gonna knock him out or lose the fight.
Do you see a situation where it doesn't get emotional for Chandler? It feels like he fights emotionally.
So he does for sure. I'm going off of what he said.
Okay.
He's come to realize that.
Okay.
And has said that he's going to fight smarter moving forward. I hope that he does, and I hope he pulls it off, man. I'm a huge fan of Michael Chandler. His work ethic, his workouts and everything. I do think he lifts too much. I do think he puts on too much muscle, and that's where all his oxygen goes.
Yeah, he's a specimen.
Once he throws, because he throws to knock you out all the time, and once all that oxygen goes to the muscles, and you've thrown him, he'll throw himself out, and next thing you know, he's tired. And I know Poirier gets tired as well, but I just feel like fight IQ wise, unless Chandler's fight IQ has changed, I pick Gaethje, I pick Poirier to pull this off.
One of my favorite little clips that I've seen ever in the UFC is Poirier and Tony Ferguson, and it's in between rounds, and I even sent it to you once. And Poirier gets a drink, and he looks over at Ferguson, and he's like, let's go. It's like, I don't want to wait the minute.
Yeah,
let's
you want to go early.
Let's, and you see Tony be like, all right. And they stand
got
up
start
and
walking.
and I don't think that it ever actually started early.
No, they can't. They wouldn't do that.
But I love that spirit that Chandler's just like, I'm having fun.
Poirier?
I'm sorry, yes, Poirier.
Yeah.
I love that spirit that Poirier brings.
Yeah.
And
so they both have that.
Yeah.
These two, they both have that. We'll go back to the Gutierrez fight. Dustin Poirier has nasty calf kicks. Okay, nasty calf kicks. Michael Chandler has been stopped from calf kicks in his against Brent Primus in Bellator from leg kicks. His foot, he hit that peroneal nerve that we talk about, and his foot stopped working, and he was falling down, couldn't stand up, falling down, couldn't stand up. I know his front leg's been chopped up before, and we'll see. We'll see if Dustin goes to that. I would if I was him. Chandler has the wrestling. If he wrestles, he can win this fight.
Is Chandler stronger?
Yeah, I'd say he's stronger.
He looks like he's stronger, but I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's just, if it's just visual or if he actually would be stronger.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that he feels stronger wrestling or rolling. Wrestling, he's going to feel stronger. Weightlifting, yes, I'm sure he's stronger. Dustin Poirier has, years and years and years of grappling and jiu-jitsu and whatnot, and I'm sure he's very strong. Grip strength and everything is there. So it's hard to say. Dustin or Michael Chandler has the higher level of wrestling.
Okay.
If he wants to come out and wrestle and take him down, he can. He does have to watch out for Dustin's guillotine.
Yep.
He's got a really nice guillotine. Even had Khabib, where Khabib had to roll to his hip and come back up to get out of it. But yeah, fight IQ.
I saw an interview with Makhachev. It was DC and Makhachev, and they were talking. I believe I'm almost positive it was about Poirier. And DC was like, Poirier is a black belt. And Makhachev kind of started tearing him apart a little bit. He's like, black belt? He's like, and he was basically saying, like, we need to check, like, who's actually giving them this black belt.
Did you hear him talk about Jordan Burroughs?
No, I didn't.
Oh, he's talking to DC about Jordan Burroughs. He said, you need to bring in one of your Olympic champions in here to wrestle with me. And DC goes, what? And he goes, yeah, you need to bring in, it's like Jordan Burroughs. And DC goes, you think you'd have a good match with Jordan Burroughs? And he goes, yeah, man. He goes, he's a 6-time world champion. He's 7 now. 6-time world champion. And you think and he kept saying yes. And he's like, no, he would destroy you. and he just, in his head, he'd have a good match with Jordan Burroughs. I'm like, bro, stop it.
Okay. Yeah, it was interesting to hear him just start shooting apart people. But I think Makhachev is he's in his own world, and we're all living in it right now.
Oh, yeah,
so.
no doubt.
So Poirier, is that who you're picking?
Yeah, I mean, I would
it
like.
Sucks for you, I know.
I like them both. I would like to see Michael Chandler get a win and start doing something, but it just depends on what Michael Chandler shows up. I think everyone on this card, has a clear path to victory.
Yeah,
if they fight their way, if they fight their style. So it's tough to say.
So if Chandler wrestles,
yeah,
it's his game.
It is 100%.
If he comes out swinging and doesn't come out with the fight IQ that you're hoping he does, then Poirier is going to take him.
Yeah, I feel like he's gonna lose.
Okay. Co-main event. This is a title fight. Carla Esparza and Zhang Weili.
Here we are again with another clear path to victory. Carla has the wrestling.
Yep.
Second best wrestling in the division. Next to
Amanda?
No. Carla. So girls actually. I think Lupe Godinez probably has better wrestling than her when she uses it. And then Tatiana Suarez, who has not been fighting because she's been out injured, has better wrestling than everybody in the division by a long shot. She beat Carla and made it look simple. She out wrestled her all night long and made it look easy. But she's out. She's not been fighting. Carla or Lupe have the best wrestling in the division at the moment.
Okay.
And Weili, I don't know. Carla doesn't want to get into a strike fest with her and end up like Joanna and bombing on each other's brains the whole time. She's tough and she can take a punch. So I think if Carla wrestles her, she beats her and she could take her down and make it look easy.
Yeah.
But if she strikes with her, 50-50 chance, and more so going to Weili that she beats her.
So Carla's last fight was
most boring fight in UFC history.
Yeah, literally, my daughter was with us, and she literally fell asleep during the fight.
Yeah.
So, do you think that plays in Carla's strategy, and do you think that's in her head at all when she gets into the cage?
I'm sure she doesn't want to fight like she did. I'm sure she doesn't want to be as boring as she was. I'm sure she caught a lot of flack for that from fans and the UFC.
When you say flack from the UFC, what does that look like? Are they talking to her, behind the scenes saying, "Hey, what happened? This isn't Like,
Yeah, I mean, they want excitement, right? And if you want to get paid more, you need to be exciting. If you're not a trash talker,
Yeah.
you better be a damn exciting fighter.
Okay.
You know, and she's neither.
Neither.
Right. And so she needs to really go out there and get it done. I think she needs to take her down, beat her up, and submit her, and make it look, you know. And she's the champ, right?
She is.
Yeah. So it's a 5-rounder. I would say let's not go 5 rounds and just get it done if she can. I'm hoping that she does that, but Whaley's a stud. I mean, if you look at the way she's built, her traps and shoulders and arms, she's jacked.
She's jacked.
So that'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. I'll go with Carla.
Okay. That's okay. She defends. Brings us into the main event of the night. Another 5-rounder. Alex Pereira's challenging the Style Bender.
Yeah. So this is another, one that could be a simple, clear path to victory for Adesanya. Adesanya, he's not a set the world on fire grappler, but he's been training jiu-jitsu and wrestling and MMA for years and years and years.
Yep.
Alex Pereira's been doing it for a little over 2 years. So if Adesanya comes out to fight for the fans, he's going to, is he smart enough to know let's not strike with this guy for the 3rd time and get knocked out in smaller gloves? At the same time, I think Adesanya is going to fight. I think he probably fights on his feet a lot different in MMA than he does in Muay Thai. So he could have some angles. He could surprise this guy, and land some things. This guy has the one punch knockout power. He has that power, no question. He's done it twice to him, did it Strickland, and I don't know who the other 6 guys or other 5 guys were that he's done it to, but he's got that power. If Adesanya wanted, and I know I've seen Josh Hinger over there, who's one of my old guys who's now black belt under Galvao. He's a stud, and if I've seen him over there training with him in Australia or New Zealand, wherever they are, and that was a while ago. So I know he's been training on the ground. He's got to be good enough to beat this guy on the ground. It's just a matter of if he will or won't.
Sean Strickland comes in at 6-1. He's only been in the UFC since, barely a year.
Strickland?
Pereira.
Yeah, Pereira.
Did I say Strickland?
Yeah.
Thank you. Pereira he's only been in the UFC a year, November 6, 2021. By the time this fight hits.
Oh, he got fast-tracked for the hype, for sure, no question.
How much of that is based off of those videos on YouTube of him knocking out Adesanya?
All of it.
All of it?
All of it, yeah. There's no other reason he would be fighting Adesanya right now. There's no other reason he'd be anywhere inside the top 10.
Okay, because he's ranked 4th right now in that division.
Right, but how many fights in the UFC?
3.
Yeah.
3. This is his 4th.
Yeah.
Silva, Strickland, Andreas, Macadius. I'm sure I said that wrong. And then now he's fighting for the belt.
Yeah, no, he would not be where he is right now. He got fast-tracked to a title shot for the hype. And the hype's there, obviously. They've been talking about it. He's been talking. Adesanya's talking back. So we'll see, man. But again, it goes back to fight IQ. If Adesanya is smart and fights this guy smart, he should be able to beat him. But if he goes out there and just fights for the crowd and wants to show that it's different in 4-ounce gloves and I can beat him in 4-ounce gloves, he runs a very high risk of getting knocked out.
You've spoken before about how Adesanya has taken a little bit of the same path that GSP has taken. Maybe fighting not to lose a little bit more.
Which would lead me to believe he's going to grapple.
Okay.
And against someone else, it would just lead me to believe he's going to stay long, pick him apart, stay long, pick him apart. If the shot comes,
get
perfect.
Bunch of 10-9s and just kind of ride it out.
And if the big one comes and lands, cool. If not, I'm good. He can't do that with this guy.
Yeah.
that same fight is wrestling him, grappling him. You know, if he fights him like that, he can do that and should be able to do that. You know, for the majority of the fight, he should not take him 5 rounds to submit this guy.
Okay.
If he does it, you know, if he goes for that. But at the same time, you know, I can't pick and choose how people fight, and I can't guess how they're going to fight either unless I've been on the phone with them and you know, heard the game plan.
Right.
And
but
so
your game plan for Adesanya would be get him on the ground.
absolutely,
wrestle.
like why wouldn't it be? The
Yeah,
guy's knocked me out
absolutely.
twice.
Yep.
Cold. Yeah, like it would be.
Like
There's
legs,
no
like
other
legs locked
reason.
cold, right?
Yeah, and like sub this guy and send him back out of the top 10.
Yeah.
So he's got to, you know, doesn't fight me for a long time. He's not going to beat this guy, and that guy's going to hang out at number 4.
Yeah.
Like he jumped a lot of people to get there. He went from nowhere to 4.
Yeah, but if you look at, I agree with you, and if you look at the division, Adesanya, and then you've got Whitaker, Cannonier, Marvin Vettori, Pereira, and then Brunson, Paulo Costa, Sean Strickland.
Yeah.
You know, good fighters.
Where's Strickland?
Strickland is 7.
Okay. So that's how this guy, he beat Strickland.
Yeah, and jumped.
and got jumped up to 4. If you name the guys in front of this guy, all of them should be able to beat this guy. Like Whitaker would run him over.
Okay. Cannonier,
Would run him over. Stylistically, they run him over.
Vettori.
Yeah, for sure. Vettori, he's going to grapple him for sure.
Yep.
You know, like those guys all beat him, fighting him the right way.
So let's go the other direction. Pereira versus Brunson, 4 and 5.
Yeah, Brunson's good. Brunson can wrestle though.
Yep.
He can wrestle. He should be able to out wrestle him no problem.
I know you don't go. Well, we've had conversations about, you know, what the UFC does behind the scenes a little bit. Is this? I mean, are you saying that this is an inflated ranking just to get this title fight because of what he did in the past?
Yeah. So I forgot that Strickland was ranked, and he was 7. If he was 7 when he beat him,
I'm
could
sure.
have been,
I'm sure he was a
lower.
little higher than that because he probably dropped Strickland down after
Right.
he beat him.
Right. So that, I guess that could be how he got there. But even though he knocked out Strickland, he shouldn't have been in line to even fight Strickland.
Yeah.
You know, he hadn't fought anybody before that was up there deserving of a shot inside the top 5. You know, I think Strickland was inside the top 5 because he had lost to, or I don't know, had he lost yet on his little streak that he was on?
Strickland?
Yeah.
I can pull.
I think he was on a bit of a little streak when he ran into Alex.
Yeah, he was. He was on a 6-fight win streak.
Yeah. So this guy had no business being in that position to fight him.
He took care of him 2 minutes and 36
no question.
into the first.
But that's
Wow.
why I tell you,
Yeah.
I can't pick how people are going to fight. Strickland could have beat him.
Yeah.
Strickland could have wrestled him and beat him, but he stood and went toe to toe with him until he
Yeah.
got slept. So it's hard to say who's going to do what in there, but there are some smarter, higher IQ guys than Strickland fighting in that division that would beat him, you know, and fight him smarter than that.
Just to wrap up things, I was looking at the rankings and go back to 280 for a second. Sean O'Malley jumped 10 spots, and he is the number 1 contender after that win with Jan. And it put him up to, you know, Jan dropped only to number 2. He only dropped 1 spot.
Yeah.
Which tells me kind of a little bit about what people are thinking about that division as a whole. That Jan is still, I mean, you know, he's lost. We talked about he's lost 3 of 4, I think Jan has.
Well, yeah, he had the no contest or the DQ, whatever it was,
yep.
to Sterling.
Yep.
Then he lost to Sterling, and then he
Sandhagen
lost to Sandhagen.
beat Sandhagen,
Beat Sandhagen,
and then
yeah.
lost to.
So
O'Malley.
he is. That's where he belongs. He didn't drop much after O'Malley because half the world or more think that he beat O'Malley. O'Malley still catching a bunch of crap for that, you know, but like it was his fault.
I know.
You know,
I know.
like,
That's,
you know, he was just as surprised, but like I said, it wasn't a robbery, and people have broke it down, numerous times now, and it wasn't. Again, I had Jan winning, not by a lot, but I had him winning by a small margin, and the fact that O'Malley won put him at number 1 because that's where Jan was, and you can't have Jan get moved to like number 3 or 4 and still leave O'Malley at like 7 or 8 or 9.
Right.
It's a win. A win's a win. And so you've got to put him in front of him. So that's where we're at. But like I said, once you beat that guy, everybody's that guy. So now he's number 1. Who does he fight? He either fights for the belt or he fights a rematch with Jan or number 3.
Yeah.
Or number 2.
Was it Makachev that was talking about somebody was talking about that called out Volkanovski? Was that Makachev?
So that is the next fight. Volkanovski is fighting Makachev for the 55 title.
That is going to be insanity.
Yeah. As big as Volkanovski is and has been in the past, because he was a much bigger guy in the past, playing rugby and stuff.
Yeah.
Like 220. He is too short and he's great at distance. He is, and his power is great. I would love to see him win that. That would be freaking phenomenal. But I don't know that he stands a chance in that fight.
If it matters, a pound for pound, top ranking, Volk is number 1, Adesanya is number 2. Islam jumped to number 3, having been not even ranked before that fight.
That's kind of,
and I
where was who was the champ?
Oliveira?
Yeah, where was Oliveira?
He was probably like 3. I don't remember. I could see he dropped. Yeah, he was 3 because he's 7 now and he dropped 4.
Yeah, that's why he got moved all the way to 3. But that doesn't mean you're the pound for pound. That means he should have jumped in his division to the top, but he shouldn't have. I don't know that he should have jumped pound for pound. He's really not fought anybody. Until now, he hasn't fought anybody until Oliveira that was that top tier guy. Yeah. To be on that pound for pound list. So I think that's kind of dumb. But I'm not saying that he's not the that level pound for pound, but he hasn't shown that yet.
Sure. Good stuff. I'm excited for this one.
Me too. Can't wait.
It's gonna be great.
Be an awesome card. Talk to you guys after. Have a good night.
It is all over, just like that.